Hey friends, it's me, Pastor Doug, with another word of encouragement for the day for today, Monday, November 29th. And today's word comes out of the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 11, 12, and 13. And in it, we get to read about what Paul calls his secret to being content. I was thinking about this the other day. We got to be the only country in the entire world that does this. We have a day literally dedicated to giving thanks, right? We call it Thanksgiving, and the whole day is dedicated to giving thanks for what we have. Immediately followed by a day dedicated to wanting more, right? In Black Friday. I mean, that's what we do. We have this day dedicated to giving thanks, and then this day dedicated to wanting more and getting more. And friends, you and I live in that tension, don't we? There's a part of us that wants to believe that we have enough and we ought to be thankful and we ought to be grateful, and we try to be joyful and grateful for what we have. But we've got all of these messages constantly bombarding us, telling us that we need more, we need bigger, we need better. So you and I live in this tension between gratitude and wanting more. And Paul speaks right into the heart of that situation out of his own circumstances, and he writes this. He says, I have learned this to be content whatever the circumstances. I've learned to be content in whatever the circumstances. Now, before you and I, get convinced that, well, of course, Paul was this, important biblical figure and he probably had it all together. Paul was writing this from prison, right? I mean, we can't forget that Paul is writing this from prison. He's been imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. And so he's writing this letter from prison, and he's able to say these words, I've learned to be content whatever my circumstances, even though his current circumstances were pretty awful. He says, I know what it's like to be in need, and I know what it's like to have plenty. I've lived in both of those circumstances. He says, I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Paul says, I've learned the secret. And so we lean in, right? And we go, well, Paul, tell us, what's the secret of being content? Because the world keeps telling me that I don't have enough and that I need bigger and I need better. So Paul, what's the secret? And he says this. He says, I can do all of this through him who gives me strength. Now, when Paul says I can do all of this through him who gives me strength, he's not saying I can do anything I want because of Christ. No, he's saying I can do all of this. Well, what is the this that he's referring to? The this that he's referring to, that he says he can do through Christ, is all the things that he just mentioned. He can live with contentment in spite of his circumstances. Friends, as you and I fix our attention on Jesus, in spite of our circumstances, in spite of the voices telling us we need more, in spite of the commercials telling us that we need bigger, in spite of our friends showing us and demonstrating that we need better, when we fix our eyes on Jesus, that, Paul says, is the secret of being content in spite of our circumstances. The secret of taking what we practiced on Thanksgiving and actually putting that into practice every day of the year. Friends, may you keep your eyes fixed and focused on Jesus, and may he give you the strength to be content no matter what your circumstances. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.